Welcome to Grace. My name is Stephen, and this is church. On Thursday, I was sharing a story with the people that come to the sharing place. I said to them, or I asked them a question, first starting with, hey, how does Pastor Stephen dress? Somebody in the back corner, this lovely lady said, a 10 out of 10, gold star to you. And somebody else said, comfortable. That's true. I do like to be comfortable. And then somebody in the other corner said, sporty. All great answers. Now, why do I start today with that? Well, at the sharing place, we have all sorts of great volunteers. We just do. I mean, they are 5-star volunteers. And some of these volunteers have these jobs that, I guess I just didn't think were jobs in high school. I grew up thinking, one day you're going to be a doctor, a nurse, a lawyer, a police officer, a firefighter, a plumber, an electrician, a pastor, a teacher, jobs like that. But I've come to realize that there's all these other jobs. Well, the other day there was a volunteer application form that was filled out online, and the person said they couldn't make the volunteer orientation session. I said, no worries. Why don't you just come in? You can see what we do on a Thursday, and then we can talk to each other, and we will see if we connect, and maybe I'll ask you some questions in person. And so they came on a Thursday. Thursday is not the best time necessarily to see me as a volunteer to have one-on-one. Oftentimes I'm sitting with the people that come, the guests. And so I'm sitting with them and I'm running around, and I can see this person that is potentially a new volunteer looking at my director's reports, which is, to me, I think that's a good indication of a volunteer, that they are interested in what we are about. And so I followed up with them later and I said, hey, you know what? At the volunteer orientation session, I always read off one of my director's report just to give a glimpse of what the sharing place is about and what I am about. And then that should give us an idea if we are going to work well together. So here are 3 director's reports. You read them. I'll give you a true or false question test afterwards when you're all done. Well, Monday came and I messaged them. I said, hey, do you read those director's reports? Yes, I did. Am I going to see you tomorrow? Yes, you will. Okay, 9 a.m. Do you want coffee? Sure. Who doesn't want a nice black coffee? Anyways, the Tuesday morning, woke up and I had to decide what I was going to wear to work. Now, remember at the beginning of this conversation that people describe me as 10 out of 10, comfortable and or sporty. Well, this is what I normally wear to work. If you see me on a Tuesday or on a Thursday, oftentimes this is how I'm dressed. More often than not, I'm wearing my lovely Quebec hat because I was born in Quebec. Montreal First Church of the Nazarene is where I first went to church. And I'm often wearing sweats. Now, it's not because I was sporty in high school or I'm trying to be sporty now, because I'm definitely not sporty now, but it's because of the job. A large part of the job is doing things like picking things up. So oftentimes I'm picking things up at the food terminal, picking things up at the grocery store, picking things up at different schools, picking things up. And if you're picking things up all the time, it's a dirty job. And you want to be as comfortable as possible while you do that job. Side benefit of wearing sweats is that my pants have zippers in them, and I get to keep all my receipts in the one zipper, keep that nice and organized, and keep all the church and sharing place keys in the second zipper. And so I have everything organized. Well, shout out to a run from Rosa Church, who I once saw change the tire of a guest of the service that week in a Harry Rosen suit. You're a better man than me, but it's exactly what Jesus would have done. So instead, on that Tuesday, this is exactly what I wore. I wore my glasses, I wore this shirt, and I wore some dress pants because I thought I was going to a super fancy meeting with this lovely new volunteer. However, when I got to the meeting with this lovely volunteer who brought a nice black coffee for me and we started to talk, all of a sudden I got this text. And this text was, Hey, are you on your way? Whoa, whoa, whoa. Where am I supposed to be? We literally just had a Sharing Place board meeting. It's not a district advisory board meeting. Those are on Wednesdays. Where can I be? The person could see that my mind was thinking, hey, do you need to go? No, it's okay. Let's keep talking. I'm going to figure this out. And about 5 minutes later, hey, are you sure? Actually, you know what? Let me call. Let me find out what's going on. So I pick up the phone. Sir, where exactly am I supposed to be? Pastor Stephen, it's the Board of Ministry meeting today, and the interviews start in about an hour. Oh, I'll be there. Click. Anyways, the Board of Ministry meeting is basically us pastors who are already ordained, who went through our ordination process. We meet candidates that are looking to be ordained, and we meet them once a year. We go through their schooling, we go through their volunteering, we go through if they're working, and we ask them questions about, how do they feel God's working in their life, and what their gifts are, how they would like to use that, to God's glory, that sort of thing. It is an important meeting to be at. And all of a sudden, I'm at the church or at the Sharing Place 30 minutes away. So I get back to the table with this lovely volunteer, and the volunteers is like, hey, do you need to go? I'm like, yeah, I do. But we can do this in 20 minutes, and then we will follow up on Thursday. No problem. So we blast out this meeting. It's a great meeting. I get to go to this Board of Ministry meeting. While at the Board of Ministry meeting, the candidates come in, and we ask them important questions about their school, about their volunteering, or about their working, or about their family, or about what they're reading. We ask them important questions, but sure enough, always in these meetings, there's one pastor that just always asks, hey, why didn't you wear a tie to this interview? This is a professional job. I think, perhaps you should wear a tie. And by the second candidate, the same person mentioned this to the candidate. Not that, Jesus wore a tie. That's another story. By the time it happened to the second candidate, I was just looking over there and I was like, oh, thank God. Thank God I dressed somewhat appropriate. I was wearing my dress pants and a shirt and my glasses. My hair was combed and I was shaved. And so I text that lovely new volunteer. And I said to them, who had professed to me in our lovely meeting, I'm not sure if I have faith. In fact, I haven't been in very much church in my life. And I know from your director's reports, that's important. But I just want you to know that I have not been to church. That's okay. There's all sorts of volunteers, all sorts of different backgrounds. What we're here to do is journey together and use your gifts. That's all we want to do, and connect. Well, this is what I text them. Well, this will encourage your faith. I am super, super, super happy we plan to meet today, and I thought that you were super fancy. So I decided to put away my SpongeBob sweats to make a good impression, only to find out via text, because my Hotmail has been acting up, that I had a super fancy dancy district meeting that I needed to attend. So other than my Jaws socks, I was dressed relatively appropriately. Next time I'll rely on Google Calendar, then hope that God saves me. Blessings. That is, to me, I know that was a joke, and I know that person thought that was funny. But I honestly think, in some strange way, that God knew this was all going to happen, because it's just a miracle. 52 weeks of the year and 51 weeks I'm wearing sweats, and the 1 week that I don't wear sweats, here I am at this meeting. I honestly think God works in strange ways sometimes. Well, let me tell you about a recent event that happened at the Sharing Place. There is this person that comes to the Sharing Place which has had eye problems for a long time. And for whatever reason, the eye doctor has this protocol in place that whenever you have eye surgery, that there would be somebody there with you to pick you up and to get you home. I'm guessing something probably happened and they don't want to be held liable, so they have this system in place. Well, many months ago, I found out about this, and I found out this was the reason this person was not getting this eye surgery done, because they didn't know how they were going to get home. They didn't have anybody to go with them. And they went through this whole process all by themselves. They managed to figure it out, but now they needed their other eye done. And I said to them, what in the world are you doing? What in the world are you doing? Of course, it'd be an honor and a privilege to go with you and to be with you while this process happens and to bring you home. Now, my scripture reading for today is from Luke 4:14-20. It's Jesus was tempted in the wilderness, and now he's coming back, and the very first thing he does is he goes to the synagogue. And so this is what it says. Jesus returned to Galilee in the power of the Spirit, and news about him spread throughout the whole countryside. He was teaching in their synagogues, and everyone praised him. He went to Nazareth, where he had been brought up, and on the Sabbath day he went into the synagogue, as was his custom. He stood up to read, and the scroll of the prophet Isaiah was handed to him. Unrolling it, he found the place where it is written, "The Spirit of the Lord is on me, because he has anointed me to proclaim good news to the poor. He has sent me to proclaim freedom for the prisoners and recovery of sight for the blind, to set the oppressed free, to proclaim the year of the Lord's favor." Then he wrote up the scroll, gave it back to the attendant, and sat down. The eyes of everyone in the synagogue were fastened on him. One of the ways our volunteers, we do different questions to get to know each other. One of the things that we do is, hey, what's your favorite movie? Mine, Groundhog Day. What's your favorite movie? Oh, Princess Bride. Oh, what's your favorite movie? Oh, Moonstruck. What's your favorite movie? Well, you ever seen a movie, The Matrix? And in The Matrix, they're waiting for the one. The one. Neo is the one. Well, today's piece of scripture is about the Old Testament. In the Old Testament, they had this idea of that there was going to be a Messiah. Messiah was coming. He was going to be the one. And he was going to do all those things. Now, isn't that a good list? Whether you're a Christian or not, this is a good list. That he's going to proclaim good news to the poor. That he's going to proclaim freedom for the prisoners and recovery of sight for the blind, and going to set the oppressed free. Those are all great things. Jesus is saying, I am the one. All the prophecies that came before, everything written, points to me. And all these things are about to be accomplished through me. And you can watch all you want, or you can choose to follow me. The sharing place, I like to think that we are the hands and the feet, the practical component of Christianity. On Sundays we meet in church from 11 to 12:30. But on Thursdays is where we really meet people. And yes, we could pray for them. Praying's great. And talking, guidance, great. But sometimes we just need to get up and act. And sometimes we need to do things. And so although we can't do everything, bringing somebody and being with somebody as their eyes are being healed is one of those good things that I believe that we are called to do. So that's what we did this last week. I'm very grateful for the opportunity. I'm very grateful for the privilege. And I'm happy to say the surgery went well. Well, just one announcement before we go. On the next Saturday coming up, I believe that's April 12th, we'll be having Mark Bain. Mark Bain, he's coming, and he's written this book, Reimagining the Great Commission, and he's in charge of evangelism and new churches and new plants and that sort of thing in the Church of the Nazarene. And he's going to come and, there's all these books like Leadership According to Bart Simpson, Leadership According to Tony Soprano. Well, he's going to teach us leadership according to Jesus. So that'll be from 11 a.m. till 2 p.m. on April 12th. And you are invited, and we're going to provide a lunch in the middle. And we all need to think about how we're incorporating Jesus into our life and how we are leading, ideally, like Jesus. Well, this is Grace. My name is Stephen, and this is Church.